So, with a white woman standing right there screaming for someone to help, if the police had come and my son was standing there, they are going to shoot him. If he runs, they are going to shoot him. Everyone is taking her side because she is rich and she is white and she hired a lawyer and the lawyer is defending her. And they put it all over the television and no one tried to find out who the boy is who could have lost his life. And they didn't find out who the family is. Everybody just ignored us like we don't matter. I don't care how much money the lady is getting, because if I were to lose my son, the whole world full of money will not bring him back. Yes, we are immigrants. Yes, we are poor, but we are not thieves. I get EBT because I wish I could afford to feed my children, but I can't. I work 7 days a week. We aren't hurting anybody. What you just heard here is the testimony of the mother concerning the supposed City by Karen controversy. This is the mother. She has spoken out. And also Michael has spoken out. And I've been waiting for this because this is interesting. I'm going to read. We're going to spend some time getting into this thing. Let's see where this is going. So, for those of you that know, the City by Karen story is actually very interesting. Interesting in the sense that it's showing, when you dig for the facts, you find out there is more to a story than what we were once told. And secondly, it also shows that everything that happens is racism. Sometimes there's mixed up, people make mistakes. And before we jump the gun and start calling people's name, we should always wait for the facts, right? And this is a good story. It's teaching us that there are things we can do better as a people. And there are ways that we look at each other. We can actually learn from each other's mistakes and learning to appreciate one another regardless of our differences. Now, this is what's going on here. Mother of teen in a city bike video speaks out. No one bothered to ask him what happened. This is an exclusive interview. News Zone. Okay. For those of you who know about News Zone, but we'll stay away from that. In an exclusive interview with News One, the 17-year-old who refused to give up his bike to Sarah Jane Comrie said she's been rewarded for what? For her antics while he and his family are suffering. They're suffering. That is not good. If that is really happening, that's a problem. Okay, well, let's read some more. Let's read some more. We're not going to jump the gun. We're not going to assume or presume. Let me make this a little bit bigger for you, because we got to talk about this. We're getting into the heart of the matter. And I love to do this in my channel. I love the facts. So let's try to find it. So let's listen to this. Mary and Michael, this is the sister of Michael. Michael is the kid that was on the bike, are eager to talk to me. But Betty, their mother, is reluctant to let Michael speak with anyone. He is only 17 years old. He is my baby, Betty says. What does that mean? I don't know, but he's a wanted man now, right? People want to talk to him and hear his story so that we can get rid of all the confusion. This is a significant thing. The mother can allow him to speak. It should allow him to speak, as a matter of fact, because he knows the story more than anybody else. All right, but nevertheless, let's respect the mother's wish. He's a senior in high school. He should be planning to attend his prom and looking forward to walking the stage in his graduation in a few weeks. But instead, he and his family have spent the last week and a half living in turmoil. Michael is the teen in an infamous city bike video with Sarah Jane Comrie, the mother who has been accused of weaponizing whiteness and her tears in an effort to take the bike from the teen in New York City. Okay, Betty has seen the video after video after video of racist trolls calling her son a thug and a thief and labeling him as a man when, in her words, he's just a boy. All right, I will say calling her son a thug and a thief was wrong. I didn't do that. I don't think he was. There was not enough evidence for me to say anything like that. I did say that his behavior was somewhat childish. The way he treated the pregnant woman and the way he talked to her wasn't good either. It wasn't just him, but also his friends. Now, it hurts that people are saying these things think that she knows, things that she knows are not true about him. Okay. Betty is upset, right? Because she says the narrative has been one-sided. No one bothers to contact us to find out about Michael's story, she said in a low voice during an interview on Wednesday. They write all these things about him, but no one bothered to ask him what happened. And look at his receipts. Okay. By the way, the sister did show a receipt. Michael interjected. That's because if they have my side of the story, she doesn't have a case. I'm not sure about that. Mary agreed with him, saying, right. Throughout the entire 50 minutes interaction with Betty and her children, she had her phone out watching videos after videos, conservative, racist, saying negative things about her baby. Well, I don't know how you say conservative or racist. This is a problem that a lot in the black community, a lot of people in the black community have been making a issue with. Conservatives are not always racist. This is not true. And I myself as a conservative doesn't mean I'm racist. So that's just foolish. But let's keep going. She is racist that someone, okay, she's afraid that someone will try to harm her son or her family. No one is helping us, she said, her voice cracking. We are poor people. We are immigrants. We cannot afford a lawyer. Mary, who is 24, and Michael told their mother that now is their chance to tell the story. Betty agreed only on the condition that their names are changed to protect their identities. I do not want anything to happen to my family, Betty said. Do you know what I mean? A Bronx tale, okay? Mary and Michael live with their parents and another brother in an apartment in the Bronx. Mary and Michael were born in the U.S., and their parents were immigrants from West Africa. Mary and her brother and both parents worked to help contribute to the family's income. We live in the Bronx, and my brother spent a lot of time in Harlem. Mary said it has friends there. On the 12th, the date of the incident, Michael and 4 other teenage rode bike from Bronx to Harlem. Okay, this is common. This is common understanding in New York. But let's keep going because we see they're providing the receipts of them riding. This is good. The truth is coming out and it is getting clearer and clearer. Let's keep going. My brother is an extreme city bike rider. Mary said proudly, he is in a group called City Bike Angels that send out free stuff to people who have accumulated a certain amount of points. And my brother have been a frequent city bike rider since 2020 to 2021. Michael said in his regular routine with him and his friends to meet up. They meet up in the Bronx, find new e-bikes. This is a good piece of information here. New e-bikes City Bikes has out and rides them all over New York City. And it's true, I've lived in New York City myself, so it's best to ride those bikes because the traffic is horrible. so I can understand all of this. We still gotta get to the heart. Let's keep going. Understanding how City Bikes works, all right, this is the piece we need to get to, okay? I use City Bikes every day. Michael says, I use the bikes to get to and from school. If I'm traveling anywhere in the city, even if it's from here to Brooklyn, my first option is City Bike. It's my preferred mode of transport. It's like my car, he added. Michael said he and his friends, who are all immigrants from West Africa families, understand City Bike and all his programs. They use them because the 14s like themselves is cheaper option than taking the subway from borough to borough. Michael said that day they walk around the Bronx for about 20 minutes before they found the highly coveted but hard to find new e-bikes. Okay. So this is establishing context. This is good. This is good. Let's keep going. They took the bikes to Harlem first, where they stopped riding after 45 minutes. Okay. They took the bike to Harlem. They stopped riding after 45 minutes. This is very important. We're going to come back to that. Michael explained because his family receives some public assistance, he gets a discount on City Bikes rides, but after 45 minutes, the rate on the bike increases. Okay, Michael, this is very significant. I'm so glad you're sharing this. I'm so glad. You see, this is why we need to have these discussions, because the truth, little by little, it gets clearer. Michael said he pays for his own Citibank account in order to avoid the higher charges. He frequently stops his ride before they go over 45 minutes to rest and redock the bike. Redocking the bike resets the timer, allowing him to ride for another 45 minutes before stopping again. All right, Michael. I'm understanding how this thing is working. All right. I've left New York since 2007. So I don't know all the details about city bikes at all. I have no idea how this thing works. But now I'm learning some things. But now here's my question. Is this a legal thing to do? Just a question. Is this a legal thing to do? Is it okay for people to redock the bike so that they can reset the timer so that they don't have to pay more? That's a question I'm asking. But let's keep going. Even regular city bike riders do this. Okay, so I have an issue with this. Is this a justification? Because other people do it, that means it's perfectly okay. Is it okay in the policy for the city bike company itself? Is it okay for people to do that? Is it acceptable? If it is not acceptable, we can say by you redocking the bike, it is no longer in your possession. That's one thing we have to admit to. If you redock the bike 45 minutes before 45 minutes hits so that you can reset the timer and get a rest, so that means the moment you dock the bike, it's no longer your bike. Okay, let's keep going. Mary explained, the price goes up after 45 minutes for everyone. So people routinely ride their bikes and dock the bikes, ride their bikes and dock the bikes again. Okay, this seems to be like one of those things that people do all the time. But again, I'm still asking the question, is it legal to do that? Is it normal? Is it okay? Does it go along with the policy, the city bike company in itself? But that's something I have to look into that. But anyway, the encounter with Sarah Jane. So this is the part of the story when things get really interesting. Michael said, after resting in Harlem for a bit, the boys continue riding into the Lower East Side of Manhattan. They grabbed frozen yogurt and then headed to the city bike docking station at First Avenue on East 30th Street, New Bellevue Hospital, in the Kip Bay neighborhood. They docked their bike at 7:19 p.m. Okay. We're gonna highlight that. This is insignificant. And sat there to rest. So, the moment you dock the bike, okay, electronic bike, you dock the bike at 7:19, that means at 7:19, the bike is no longer in your possession. Even though you might have the intent to reuse it again, it's still not your bike. Okay, remember, you're renting the bike. It's not yours. But let's keep going. Michael instead insisted he and his family never left the bike unattended. Now, that's a contradiction to the testimony of the lawyer and Sarah. Now, but let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. But on the video, it looks to me in the video, Sarah was already sitting on the bike and Michael came behind her. That's what it looks to me in the video. But nevertheless, they don't leave the bikes. Michael said, 4 of his friends also have the same city bikes fare membership, and so they docked the bike to stop the timer from going over 45 minutes. 4 of the boys were sitting on their bike as they rested, but Michael was standing next to with his hands on the handlebar. First of all, though this is not okay. It's a simple thing. I know it looks simple. It's no big deal. I'm resting the bike. I'm going to reuse it again. But it's not okay to do that, though. I bet it's common. I bet it's normal. I bet this is something that they do all the time, right? Those city bike riders, fine. But it's not okay, though. Do you understand? Do you see what's going on here? The justification is not good enough. Why? Because the bike, you docked it. Therefore, somebody else might need to use the bike. You cannot say, I am pausing this bike, because remember, this is not your bike. This is a public bike, right? If a person rents it from the moment you docked it, which is 7:19, so from 7:19 to 7:25, Sarah had the right to click on her phone, I'm renting a bike. She had the right to walk to the bike racks and say, I'm going to take one of these bikes. The one that was available, left unattended, she could have taken that. Now, the 4 boys were sitting on the other bikes. Still doesn't make it okay. Because they were sitting on it doesn't mean they have the right to do that, right? They were doing it, but that was still wrong for them to do. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. They were there for a few minutes when he said Sarah Jane Comrie approached the group. She initially asked one of Michael's friends if she could take the bike that he was resting on. He politely declined, informing her that they were going to leave shortly and using the bike again. She approached a different boy in a group and asked them the same thing. The boy also politely declined. Michael was also standing nearby his bike with his hands on a handlebar. According to Michael, Sarah Jane Comrie asked, "Can I please have this bike?" You see, guys, this is not racism at all. I'm so glad you guys are sharing this testimony and I'm listening to this. It's all making sense now. We can pretty much stop this video, but it's all making sense now. This is one of those things that should not have been made public. This is one of those things that I will say, yeah, the city bike company themselves might have to change their policies and stuff like that. But the boys here were in the wrong. Number one, once you dock the bike, it's no longer your bike. For you to position yourself next to the bike because you plan on using it again in the next few minutes doesn't make it right. Because other people do that still doesn't make it right. All right? That's the Christian argument. The world can do something that doesn't make it right for me to do it, right? We have to do what is right. So we're talking about doing the right thing here. Even though it's a small situation, it looks small. It becomes a big thing because everybody's talking about it. But the point is, it is still wrong that they were standing there somewhat blocking the bike in the hope to reuse it again. Michael said to her, Michael declined, right? He declined when she asked for the use of the bike. Now, I'm about to take it back out, he told her. Michael said to Sarah Comrie, then said to him, I am pregnant. Can you please help a woman out? This is actually a very important statement for me. When a woman is asking you for help being pregnant, the kind things to do, this is when men have to be men here. This is one of those situations. I'm glad it's not racism. Michael is no thug. He's not an evil kid. And Sarah is not a Karen. She's not a pregnant thug. Amen. We're done with all of that. Praise God. Let's give this thing, let's put this stuff out of the way. So the conversation is getting clearer. Things are getting better. But the thing is, here with her request, yes, he doesn't have to give her the bike. He has his hands on a handlebar. We're going to wait his testimony. And she needs the bike to get home. She get home. She just left her shift. She's ready to leave. He answered and said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I have ridden this bike all the way from the Bronx, and I need this bike to go back home. That is where I think Michael is wrong. Because this is where, as a man, you place the value of a woman above your own, even though she's not your woman. We have to talk about men being men in our culture, and this is a simple test proving it is significant to do that. Regardless of skin color, she's a woman. She needed a bike. The bike was available. She ended her shift. Regardless of what you were doing, resting, waiting to reset the timer, that's not her problem. That's not her problem. She needed a bike to get home. And she wanted to use the bike that was available. And you guys, 5 bikes were being docked, blocked. 4 of your friends sitting on the other 4, and all of them denied her. Come on, man. What happened to respecting women in our culture? I'm just saying. Let me stop. Let me keep going here. Michael said that when Sarah Jane Comrie moved closer to him and his bike, leaned over him and scanned the QR code with her phone, even as he has his hands on a handlebar. Now, that could be true, but I can understand as a pregnant woman who had a 12-hour shift and things like that, she probably was tired and ready to go home. So that's a possibility. That's my testimony on that. Doesn't mean it was okay for her to do that, but it was also not okay for you to block her use of the bike after you not using it. You cannot say no one can use this bike because I plan on using it. Listen, I've heard this story. I mean, this is literally where I live in PA. We had a story similar to this one. It was that these men, these young men, they cleared up, they shoveled snow, right? And they, they created a nice little parking space for their cars. And then they put some chairs. You know how people do this, right? They put chairs in that parking spot. And an older man came and he parked his car. He parked his car in the spot. He moved the chairs and he parked his car. And the men who did do the shovel, they came out and were upset and grabbed their gun and shot the man. Now, here's the thing. Who is in the wrong here? The person who came in and took the parking spot, or the people who reacted in the way that they did? And I'm pushing an extreme analogy here, but listen to the point. This is how the state dealt with it. The parking spot is the state, how could I say this? Belongs to the state. In other words, because you clean out the parking space, because you've been using the parking space, because you clear it out very nicely for your car and put some chairs in that space, it's still not your space. That's how the state dealt with it. They were in the wrong because you clear it out, somebody else takes it. Sorry. You just gotta know this, because the parking space belongs to the city. The parking space is not yours to own and determine who can use it, when, and how they can use it. You cannot do that. In the same way, the bike belongs to the city. It's not your bike. You cannot say who can use it, when they should use it, how they should use it, because you had it in your possession, you used it before. Does it make it okay for you to position yourself as if it belongs to you? Now, here's the next point. She pushed her way onto the bike and attempted to remove it from the dock station and take it. I'm pretty sure she did that. I'm pretty sure she did. Because, wow, she's frustrated. She's tired. She had enough. All your friends denied her. And here is a bike. You had your hand on it. She probably just came in and said, this is crap. I'm had enough. I'm getting out of here. She scanned the bike and she got on it. Well, your hands were on a handlebar. Now you're going to fight with her, wrestle with her. This is what happened. It was 7:24 when the boys began recording. Exactly. So that means from 7:19, Michael and Mother, you were holding on to this bike until 7:24 when Sarah scanned the bike. So that means from 7:19 to 7:24, you had no right. None of the boys had the right to any of the use of the bike because it was docked. Even though they had planned on using it, but any person who comes and says, I need one of those bikes because you guys are not using it, it is docked. So that means that bike is available to be used. You should have gotten off and let somebody use it. Now, the fact a pregnant woman came and did that and asked you for the bike, I mean, bro, you got to step down and say, you know what? I wanted to use this bike again, but it's an e-bike, one of those good ones, electronic bikes. I've been using it for a while. But guess what? I'm not using it at the moment. I do plan on using it, but I'm not using it at the moment. So therefore, I need to move out of the way. That is called doing the right thing. I know in our culture today, we have an issue with that. We don't like doing the right thing. We don't like valuing women. We think men can overcome and dominate and abuse women's sports and all that. But nevertheless, that's beside the point. So it was 7:24 when the boys began recording. So that means she must have scanned this thing at 7:24. And they knew it was time to record a video and make a mockery out of this woman. They knew that. So they didn't start recording for no reason. They started recording because I'm going to get some content. Now, you can hear them in the video call for someone to record Sarah Jane Comrie at the beginning of the footage. So why did they do that? They wanted to make sure she goes public. If someone is using something, marry and ejected emphatically, these are obviously physical cues. Let you know when something is in use and someone is planning to use something. We can go on and on, but the receipts are here. The evidence is shown. When the boys docked the bike at 7:19, it was no longer theirs. Even though they were sitting on the bike and Michael was had his hand on the handlebars of the bike, he had no right to say who could use it and who could not. And here another thing. This is, I'm guessing, Marino. I guess this is the person who is okay, Marino originally made public redacted alleged receipts, but as of Wednesday, his apparent Twitter account posted the unredacted receipt showing Sarah Jane Comrie had rented the bike for 1 minute. So at 7:24, she scanned the bike. It does show, it proves again the point, because in the video, he pushed the bike into the dock. So he kind of redocked the bike again. So by pushing the bike, it resets the timer at 7:25. Duh. So 7:24, Sarah Camry has the right to use the bike, because from 7:19 to 7:24, you were not using the bike. There is nothing confusing here, friends. There is nothing too difficult here to understand. What are we fighting about? This is coming down to decency. This is coming down to humility. This is coming down to respect for women. Now, Sarah could have done things differently. But working a 12-hour shift, pregnant, tired, there were a lot of different things we could have added. But these young men probably were having a long day themselves. They've been riding around the city. They're trying to get home. This is one of those situations that shouldn't have been made public. It should have been dealt with at the spot and left alone. But hey, here we are today. Wow. So people are going around saying, well, we're going to make the racist kind. Okay. When those receipts got released, everything flipped. And that's the thing. At first, people believe Michael was in the right. But when the receipts got released, everything flipped. Michael said, people started calling me a thief, a thug, and a black man. I have an issue with that. Now, he's a black man. Sarah is a white man. Okay, according to America's standard of racism. Racist. Anyway, I hate to use those colors, but nevertheless, this is the way we do things over here. It is definitely, it's affected me. It continued. It's like, wow, this is crazy. Michael added, she did something wrong. She basically got rewarded for it. She made over $100,000 on GoFundMe. So what does that mean? Guys, you guys recorded her. You made her famous. You were trying to turn her into a Karen, but it turned out to work in her favor. All right. Her job, people believed you until they heard the rest of the story. Guys, it's very simple. You guys were in the wrong. Michael, the mother, Betty, Mary, the sister, listen, you guys were in the wrong. Like, you can't convince me you were in the right. Because the receipts is showing from 7:19 to 7:24 when Sarah actually scanned the bike. You guys had no right to sit on the bike and say, I'm going to own it. It's a public bike. It's a public bike. You can't do that. If you're not using it, you need to get off. It's one of those simple things. If you're not using it, you need to back away from it. Simple as that. Simple as that. But you didn't do that. And now you're trying to make her look like she was a bad woman for scanning the thing. No, she had every right to scan it. So Mary said, I'm unable to wrap my mind around any of this. No, it's not that difficult. My brother has been riding a city bike for 3 years. You said that before. Let's keep going. So Mary's video, actually, I spoke about this last night, only made Sarah Jane Comrie looks better. Her case looks even better. But the mother went on to say this statement. I read it from the beginning. So this white woman, I have an issue with this. Like, we need to stop with the coloring. But again, America, that's what we do. Standing right there screaming for someone to help. If the police had come, my son was standing there. They are going to shoot him. That's just nonsense. Nobody's going to kill your son, okay? Because he's not committing a crime by standing for himself. That's not true. Cops don't, that's not how cops shoot people. All right, it doesn't happen like that. All right, but nevertheless, but we get it. You know, you were afraid, you're concerned, and this is troubling for a mother. I get it, because I have a mother she thinks that way. She doesn't want any trouble. She just want to live to herself, and she's struggling. And I can sympathize with the mother, but I just think this statement is not true. Everyone is taking her side because she is rich. No, not really. That's not what it is. You know, because she is white. Oh, stop. And she hired a lawyer, and the lawyer is defending her. Well, What do you expect her to do? She was being defamed. That was the problem. She had every right to do that. And they took it all over the television, and no one tried to find out who the boy is, who could have lost his life. No, he didn't lose his life. It was not physical. There was nothing like that. No cops was gonna kill him. That's not you. I mean, you call this? That's kind of playing the victim kind of thing. But nevertheless, I sympathize. I sympathize because I understand some mothers, some families. We don't want this level of attention. We don't want that. But again, it was wrong. The boys recorded that, and the boys published, made the video public. They got this attention because they made a scene out of this thing. Okay, that your son got to be held accountable. About the issue that I have, and they're saying they don't care about no money and stuff like that. And my son is, I got EBT checks. I could afford it. I can work 7 days. We are not hurting anybody. And it's true. I believe that. We are immigrants and we are poor. And we are not thieves. And I also believe that to be true. I don't care how much money the lady is getting, but because if we were to lose my son, the whole world full of money will not bring him back. Amen. And this is important. This is important for a mother to express herself in the way that she does. And again, the value of the lives of the people here in this video is what matters to me. Okay, that's what I'm looking at. All right. White people like Sarah Kim, we always get the benefit of that. Oh, that's just nonsense. Well, you can say there's a history of that, but facts are facts. Okay, I know there's a history in racism and how, so oftentimes white women are looked upon as, being, never guilty and stuff like that. I get that. That's not, we're not talking about this. We're not justifying that situation here. And that's not a good historical application of the situation, but that's not a good one. But nevertheless, I do understand though. I have a heart. I understand. I don't think they're thieves. I don't think they're thugs. I don't think they're evil. I don't think they were trying to do her harm. But they were wrong for 2 reasons. This is why they were wrong. They were wrong because once you dock the bike, it's no longer your bike, period. Sitting on the bike, not okay. 4 boys were wrong. And Michael was also wrong. He could not own and possess the bike once it is not using it. Now, whether to reset the timer, people do this all the time. It doesn't matter. That's beside the point. You did not have possession of the bike anymore. You give it up. And the second thing is the way we're talking about decency here. The second thing I have with this, in all this testimony, the mother did not once say publicly that his son was wrong. I have an issue with this. I had to make it color, but it's true. A lot of black mothers do this. That they like to make it look like their sons could do no wrong. Because he's 17 years old. I'm an immigrant myself, so I get it. Our children do wrongs. It's okay to call out our children publicly. It's okay to say Michael was wrong for sitting on the bike for the time that he did. Maybe he should not have done that. I just didn't see anywhere here where Michael was called out for his behavior. Michael was also wrong for actually fighting with a pregnant white woman. Not fighting, but physically resisting and pushing back against her and things like that. And they'll call her some nasty names, by the way. They call her some nasty name, call her a Karen. They were saying anything about her tears and whatever. But that was not okay either. That's not okay. Like you cannot convince me that's okay. And most women should know that's not okay. And again, we can talk and bleep and talk all we want. But that situation here, man, it's a situation that did not need to be made public. It didn't need to go this far. It's about decency and common sense here. It's about humility and gentleness. It's about being a man. I'm so glad this is not about racism. It's not about Karen. It's not about a pregnant thug. It's not about a black thief. That's not what it is. This is about a situation that, as a man, this is when you step up and you say, you know what? I'm gonna humble myself. I'm gonna allow the woman to have the first place, even if I have to walk home, even if I have to take the bus, take a taxi. I don't know. Yes, we poor. Yes, we don't have money, but you did the right thing. God would have taken care of you. You did the right thing. The wrong thing was to position yourself in the way that you did. That was not right. That was wrong. You were not supposed to block the bike after you docked it. You're not supposed to do that. That's unlawful. But I'm sure it's been going on for such a long time. You thought that was normal. No, it is not normal. And that's not something you should be doing, period. All right, I got a text. I got to share you a text and I'm closing this thing. Okay, let nothing be done through strife and vainglory. In lowliness of mind, let each esteem other better than themselves. We can learn a lot from God if we will simply take his word seriously. So serious. The Bible talks about everything. He says, look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of his own, of others. There was a lot of selfishness going on in this video as well. It doesn't mean Sarah Camry was completely in the wrong. I don't think she was right for scanning the bike while the man had his hand on it. But she did have access to it, though. She did have the right to somewhat do that. But while he had his hands on it, I will say, no, can I use the bike? You need to move. You're not using the bike. Get off. So actually, Sarah is actually correct. I hate to say this, but the truth is, she is right. She has the right to scan it because you're not using it. So it's probably some things that people do all the time. They docking, they just sitting on the bike. They're positioning themselves on the bike and they're not allowing other people to use it. So she was right because nobody was using the bike at the moment. So I cannot say she's wrong. I don't think so. But listen, let each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. That is what we need today. We talk about selfishness, rights, my own, my this, my that. This is what we talk about in this culture all the time. Whatever happened to decency, common sense, gentleness, and humility, whatever happened to just putting others before you, whatever happens to respecting women, whatever happens to just stop recording people and make a scene out of everything, whatever happened to name calls and calling people way too early before the facts come out. No. And those race smugglers that we called out, Rashad, Richie, and all, many of them, and Benjamin Crumb, they were wrong. They were wrong because he had nothing to do with racism. Anyway, hey, thank you so much for listening. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. Thank you. Appreciate you. God bless you. Share your thought and perspective below. I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye.